He looked at it and saw something totally different, man. It's like monkey business and horseplay. Same thing, two different perspectives.
Okay.
Peter Thiel may or may not be the Antichrist. He is a German-born billionaire who helped create PayPal. He's one of these bald guys in this photo with Elon Musk. And since then, he spent 2 decades building an empire that systematically contradicts his self-proclaimed libertarian values, or at least it seems to, I guess. He claims freedom and democracy are incompatible while funding the surveillance state of an actual dystopian nightmare. He himself is an immigrant that funds candidates and funds tools that aggressively pursue surveillance for the cause of immigration enforcement. He calls other people Satan and satanic, gasp, while so literally embodying villains himself. Look at him sweat in this interview.
I don't think that
So those are some of Peter Thiel's contradictions, and they do matter, I would say, because he wields enormous influence, and he's not even a self-proclaimed influencer like myself. Brother has spent tens of millions of dollars in political donations since 2012. He is actively trying to influence our system. His surveillance company, which tracks Americans and now immigrants who live in America, has a market cap over $400 bajillion. That's right. Bajillion. You've probably also seen people referring to J.D. Vance as his protege, following Vance's previous employment at one of Peter Thiel's Antichrist firms, I think he calls them, where they do their best to manufacture the Antichrist. He also has close ties with Curtis Yarvin, a fella that believes a CEO dictator should rule the United States of America. Now, I'm not saying they not like us, but whoa, dude, that makes a lot of sense right there. That really does, man. Come on, man, what the fuck? To start with contradictions, I would say one of the most glaring contradictions sits at the center of Thiel's
We're just gonna go.
empire,
We're gonna try to pull this shit off. Let's
the sausage.
Dog, what are you
Glossy,
doing?
It's sweaty, it's shiny, and it's glaring.
She's like,
and it is quite a contradiction. You see, in 2003,
and
Peter
she
Thiel
wants to be
co-founded
stunning.
Palantir Technologies with $2 million in CIA seed money, which is the best kind of seed money. And what I'm trying to find out is how the f do you get CIA seed money? I'm not a big fan of the CIA, as you can tell by the videos on my channel. But before we get to the CIA seed money, let's lay some groundwork for Palantir. What the f is Palantir? Palantir derives its name from the world of the Lord of the Rings, created by J.R.R. Tolkien. In that world of elves, dwarves, magic, and monsters are indestructible crystal scrying stones, or spheres, that are used by characters to communicate over long distances and observe events from across Middle-earth. They're essentially fantasy spyware. In Tolkien's work, the Palantiri corrupt nearly everyone who uses them. And Saruman used one of the Palantiri to spy on Sauron, but it was used by Sauron to corrupt Saruman by preying on his desire for power until Saruman eventually joined Sauron. That's what, like, the first 3 books are. Okay, guys, come on, catch up, keep up, let's go! So yes, this is the deliberate name that was chosen for the company that Peter Thiel founded. Bit on the nose, I would say, to name the company after a device that is used to spy on cities, armies, heroes, and villains in the fantasy world J.R.R. Tolkien created. It's kind of
we need arrows.
Kind of an odd dog whistle. It's not a dog whistle. I don't like dog whistles.
Obsidian arrows.
Even an information security expert at Orca Security, one of the
actually,
top
I think they said
companies in
fire.
the cloud and
Use
information
fire,
security
because
industry,
we
which
have
I know
poison,
all about,
so
because I have
it'll
like
be poison
9
and
degrees
fire,
in
I
network
think.
security. I don't have 9 degrees. I have 1 associate's degree in network security and had some qualifications. So I know a little bit. I don't know anything about it anymore. I've fallen off so hard, dude. This motherfucker said, well, I've always thought Palantir was the most foolish name for a company. Because in Lord of the Rings, the Palantir is corrupted. That's the very definition of it. That's kind of insane. That being said, it makes sense why the CIA would want to help get this thing off the ground through its seed InQtel funding. The IQT is an investment firm established by the CIA back in 1999. How the does the CIA have an investment firm? Now, in 2025, the IQT isn't technically a part of the government or the CIA, but it might, let's be real, it is, for sure. The Department of Homeland Security Science and Technology Directorate has a page dedicated to its work with IQT, as well as the broader intelligence and defense community. So it's like an Epstein-type connection here. It calls the IQT a not-for-profit strategic investor that government intelligence and defense communities have relied upon for nearly 25 years to anticipate their technology questions and needs, provide deep technological expertise, and make strategic investments to strengthen the security of the U.S. and its allies, namely Israel. It didn't say that. I made that up. Essentially, the government uses IQT to invest in technology it deems critical to national security. One of those companies that it deemed critical to national security was Palantir, dude. Peter Thiel, at it again. Peter Thiel, sorry. And incidentally, the company, named after a fantasy spyware device, released one of its first products, which it named after one of the most corrupt cities in fiction, Gotham. Gotham. You know, Gotham, the city that represents the era of history in America where mob bosses ran everything, like Chicago in real life, Brooklyn, politicians, police, everybody was under the thumb of the mob. So we got Palantir and Gotham. Hey man, that's pretty cool. I also like Tolkien and Batman. But I don't have a mass surveillance company. The amount of parallels between shady fictional lore and companies and products that Peter Thiel designs are crazy, and it just doesn't stop. You see, Gotham is also a tool for intelligence agencies and clandestine organizations. It's an AI spyware tool that churns through a massive amount of data to identify threats and link them to larger networks. The DoD, FBI, other global defense and law enforcement agencies use it to link seemingly random pieces of information to identify people. That's why we stop so many of these horrible tragedies before they start. The Gotham website touts it as AI-driven combat superiority that can make your software a weapons system. How it does that is by sifting through social media posts, satellite imagery, banking information, public records, documentation, or really whatever else you can feed it, and then piecing together parts of that puzzle for identification of bad guys. There's a quote endorsing the product on the website that comes from former U.S. Secretary of Defense Bulldog Mattis, James Mattis. God bless the United States Marine Corps. Palantir came up with groundbreaking technologies that can help us make better decisions in combat zones. You're giving us advantages right now that we need. So this AI is deemed acceptable for developing tactics in combat zones, but when Major General William Hank Taylor recently revealed he uses ChatGPT to create models and aid in decision making when talking about war, it's not okay when he does it. Guys, let's choose our AI. I use Grok for my combat strategy. A lot of civilian casualties. Palantir really worrying many people who see the capabilities of these tools and them being used in spying on American citizens, which is totally fair.
Fucking
that is
dead
a constitutional right of the American to be concerned. The government is bad, out to get us. We got the Second Amendment. What the fuck are they gonna do? All this shit. Like they're going to do all this stuff. And even back in 2013, Forbes reported on Palantir, stating the biggest problem facing the company was just how well the software works. It helps customers see too much. Bad. Reminds me of that scene from, what's that show called? Succession. In the same article we just showed, it quotes an ACLU analyst, Jay Stanley, who warned that Palantir could enable a true totalitarian nightmare, monitoring the activities of innocent Americans on a mass scale, which seems to be like that's where we're going objectively, and I don't like it one bit, to be honest with you guys. Advertising and YouTube and algorithms are already, that's already like everything. I don't want the government, they can do it, I don't know. Fast forward to 2020, Amnesty International was putting out calls to action, highlighting the human rights violations Palantir is not only capable of, but was actively facilitating through its use by the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Agencies that use Palantir can filter and sort data, aka people, by using hundreds of categories ranging from physical traits to financial data or their government IDs. So that's alarming, but it also gets way worse. By the way, we just did a video in which we talked about China's surveillance state. Ours is just as bad. We're just pretending that it's not. It's just, we're moving that direct. It's weird. It's really strange. It would be one thing if we actually knew and could trust that it was being used to track terrorist organizations abroad and domestically. That would be one thing. And maybe if that was the justification for a $96 million contract between Palantir and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, Palantir also got a $30 million contract from ICE. ICE and Palantir's relationship goes back to the Obama administration in 2014, when they developed Falcon, which was a service to help them analyze data and communicate. But Palantir was subject to controversy in 2019 when documents from 2017 revealed an ICE through the use of Palantir services with ICE. Now, what makes them magically able to spy on undocumented immigrants? I don't really know. I assume that it's harder to spy on undocumented people than documented people. So, and I'm, you know, what about like American people? Is it just, are we only using it for who's deemed worthy of being surveilled, or like what's going on here? And it's been bad for quite a while. I mean, we have Edward Snowden, the NSA. I'm not sure the exact status of Edward Snowden and the American government's relationship right now. I can't imagine it's probably that good, but Obama was known for invoking the Espionage Act more times than any president before him in regard to whistleblowers, but passed some good legislation for financial whistleblowers and retaliation of agents, I think in 2012. So there's been some protections, but a recent executive order removed several long-standing protections or barriers to federal employees viewing government data and promoting interagency data sharing. So take all the data from multiple agencies and feed that shit into Palantir. You can dig up whatever you'd want on any human being that is in the United States right now. You'd essentially have a master list of personal information on all Americans, as the New York Times put it, which that's really scary. I mean, I don't have anything to hide, to be honest. I pay my taxes, and I do all the stuff you're supposed to do. And all my firearms are legal. They actually are. That's not something I joke about. And I'd be willing to do the time if I committed the crime. I'd be like, please. A $10 billion contract was recently signed with the Army for the next 10 years. And while you may think, that's the Army, they operate on foreign soil, not domestic like the National Guard with FBI. You'd be both right and wrong. The National Guard operates in two capacities. State-based military force operating under the direction of the state governors. We mentioned it in our Ruby Ridge video, but that was the militia capacity of the National Guard. They can also be mobilized federally by the president during events like national disasters, the California wildfires, or even public health crises like COVID-19.
He knows that I'm trying to do.
Chicago. So yeah, the National Guard can be mobilized at state level with federal funding under Title 32, which is an incredibly long and convoluted title, but in short, it allows guardsmen to serve the nation while answering to their governor. So it's like this, I don't know. The National Guard could also just be federalized, meaning that the president could activate them at the federal level to repel an invasion or suppress a rebellion. And that's all done under Title 10. There's an excellent video from Chris Cappy Capilouto on his channel Cappy Army on the deployment of National Guard troops in American cities under the orders of President Trump under Title 10 and how it differs from Title 32. And he outlines the potential implications of a move like this.
Because behind these domestic deployments is something much bigger. A continental military operation stretching from Los Angeles to Venezuela, one that is aiming to redefine what national security means at home and test just how far federal powers can reach inside the United States.
And we've had this year the National Guard deployed to American cities, and the potential of this is a stepping stone to some kind of militarized surveillance of civilians using Palantir's AI tools. It's a real possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not calling a lot of stuff. I think that in 20 years, different people will be running everything, and I think the future is bright, and I love my patriots, my fellow men and women, and I think everything's going to be fine. I don't think doom and gloom. But the only reason I wanted to talk about this is I like to educate myself on these things to be aware, not necessarily afraid, but rather aware. According to the FAQ section on the National Guard website under what is the Army National Guard, it says, when activated for a federal mission, it is a reserve component of the U.S. Army. So when federalized, the National Guard operates under the Department of Defense. That's where it gets its marching orders. So what does that have to do with Palantir? Well, on July 21st this year, the U.S. Army Public Affairs announced the $10 billion deal with Palantir and explained it in more detail. contracts, compiling 75 contracts into one, and it can purchase goods and services as needed. So it's like a retainer in a sense. The Army and other DoD agencies have the option to make these purchases, and the reason that I lay this out is because, while federalized, the Guard is considered a component of the U.S. Army, a reserve component for sure, but still a component nonetheless. It is still operating under the DoD, so there are connections that could allow the Guard to access Palantir during their operations in American cities where they've been federalized. We've already mentioned that ICE is using Palantir to arrest undocumented immigrants, and the National Guard deployments are to support ICE as well as protect federal employees and facilities from retaliation, things like that. Title 10 specifically mentions invasion or rebellion as reasons to federalize the Guard, and back in January, an executive order referring to illegal immigration as an invasion was created. Trump has also been threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act as he sees the protests against immigration enforcement to be a rebellion or danger of rebellion.
If I had to enact it, I do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed.
So things keep going this way.
There was another fool that came online and was like, to beat the other second dude, he had us doing something similar where he wanted to build a fucking tree house and then shoot like massive amounts of arrows. I was like, what? So I was gonna fucking do it. And then I saw another video and some dude was like, just go up to him and fucking like shoot him around, you know.
Total annihilation. Palantir is also already being used for our wonderful police state, NYPD, LAPD, but PDs use Palantir software and technology to identify criminals, which, you know, it's kind of what happens when you live in a big old city. There's not really that many great ways to enforce the law, it seems like, because cities kind of suck a little bit. Just another reason to not live in the city, man. Big reason used to be because they got drinking water right now. Now you can just buy a smart water. They can smart. You don't even need to live in the city anymore. To a very conspiratorial motherfucker like myself, it might look like the dominoes are being set up in such a way that they could lead to a surveillance state, if you will, where American citizens become the targets of the tools being built by the evil spyware Palantir. It kind of looks like that, but I don't know shit, man. I hope that's not gonna happen. I don't bet. I wouldn't bet on it, but I can see it definitely happening like that. What do you guys think? Comment down below. From a logical perspective, it would make sense when we talk about the name Palantir and where it comes from. Palantir in Tolkien's world, they were scrying stones that we see everywhere, or everything except what Sauron tells us not to tell them. Yeah, interesting. It's pretty wild that it's no longer tied to just one administration or agency. It's pretty fun to just be like, the CIA is scary, the NSA is bad. Everybody's got it now, man. Everybody's got a CIA type technology nowadays. It's like a structural thing as opposed to an entity or an organism. Because stop, the same services that can help soldiers locate insurgents or help an agency track a drug smuggler or whatever, they can also just be used to monitor citizens with a simple change of business threat. Why would you want it? We just have to trust that it's and that their citizens don't have anything to worry about. That was sarcasm. So yeah, it's pretty scary. I get why people are upset on the internet. Even Palantir staff known this and are a little freaked out. Back in 2019, Palantir employees were out literally a villain. The director of privacy and civil liberties at Palantir reportedly said this regarding ICE using their products. While lawful, may nonetheless conflict with rules. Either way, we're making real shit. In 2025, ex-employees of Palantir are writing open letters to normalize authoritarianism under the guise of revolution, which has been led by oligarchs, which I don't know what either of those and of course, one of those things applies to Peter Thiel, because he is a self-proclaimed libertarian. A political position that state power. At least that's what I thought growing up about libertarians. Yet, Peter Thiel is behind the building of infrastructure for mass surveillance. Also, Jack Dorsey made Twitter is like this, Twitter speech, and now he wants Thomas Massey to run for president? It's a very confusing world we're in. And to be fair, maybe Teal's ideal freedom doesn't mean freedom from state oppression. It's the freedom for the state to oppress. Maybe it's the freedom for tech elites to operate without any kind of constraint. I'm not really sure. But I'm definitely sure that we live in a time where technological advancement far outpaces legal oversight and regulation. It's YouTube's busted-ass copyright.
I wonder if I can actually walk away from this and come back. Because I know I can die.
Technology through Palantir to potentially cause us to lose all of our civil liberties, chip away at our freedom of thought, dive into the dystopian hellscape. Sweet Pete is also giving speeches in Hungary at MCC Fest. And in these speeches, he's questioning today's rapid technological revolution, whether or not it should be seen as real progress, or he tries to warn us about the loss of control over our creation, which is unbelievable. You could not name
this is insane, bro. His health bar is like stupid.
You know, you're sweaty, dude. You're too sweaty for me to listen to. You're sweaty. Hypocrisy seems to be a trait that is built into the core of Peter Thiel. Palantir is a true example. It is insane. There has to be a joke or something that I'm just not researching here. Maybe I'm overlooking it. That's the skill of yes, that I'm trying to spy on everything. I'm really a big time billionaire and kind of creating a little dystopian facility and like the biggest, scariest thing about all this is great. So I would lose control over my creations, which I gain things from Tolkien's world that literally cause corruption and cause the owner to lose control over the creation. So it's Aragorn concept. Love Aragorn, dude.
You know he broke his foot.
Yeah, lots of different stuff. Him being an immigrant stuff. I don't know, dude. It seems like there are quite a few career immigrants who are anti-immigration, but it's all tied on how much money they have. Seems like. But Thiel was born in Frankfurt, Germany, a place where people are known to sweat living here. Kind of autism built in, I guess. And Peter came over to the U.S. as a child with his family. And of course, he was not a billionaire as a baby, but when he did have his billionaire riches, he used that to get a third citizenship in New Zealand, which is a place that a lot of people, really rich people, get citizenships. And it's been sort of controversial, so controversial to the point the New Zealand government had to address Peter Thiel's citizenship. They put out a 145-page release, including a summary of his citizenship application from June 22nd, 2011, along with additional documents that he provided and they provided. On the surface, it didn't look like there was anything about Peter Thiel that seemed like he should be considered as a candidate for citizenship, aside from his vast wealth. You can check if you would qualify for citizenship in New Zealand on New Zealand's government website. They have a little test. They require that you have been living as a New Zealand resident for 5 years, during which time you have spent 240 days a year
Okay, so
in New Zealand,
there's a glitch that he gets in.
days across all 5 years.
He
And
doesn't do
after
it all
that
the
time,
time,
you
but like
intend
if
to
I
live
think
there
if I fight him on a certain side, he'll go behind there and he gets stuck.
Spent 12 days there over
It's the
5
opposite
years.
side of this.
That's about how many days that I've spent in New Zealand in the last 12 years, to be honest. And that's just because I've watched the Lord of the Rings movies a lot. It feels like you're there. You're actually in New Zealand. The New Zealand government released documents even showing that he didn't intend to live in New Zealand and would stay in America as well and manage his evil companies. So he used his bajillionaire status to satisfy the exceptional circumstances
My
that
fucking
are
shit is maxed out.
required
We're using
that would
obsidian.
allow him to circumvent the typical rules for citizenship applications. He literally just bought his way. He bought his way in, which is interesting. It was very controversial. Peter specifically cited his co-founding of PayPal as the first outside investor as an example of his entrepreneurial skills. Why New Zealand 91? And the super deal that he also outlined how he'd invested in several New Zealand businesses, online accounting businesses, Zero Fiber Internet Company, and Pacific Fiber Limited, fiber optic internet. And regarding that, Pacific Fiber Limited, application to lay a fiber optic cable in the U.S. to broadband area, Oceania. It's really far away and it's hard to do things over. He also made sure to mention that he donated $1 million price at an ideas conference. just over a year after Teal was granted his citizenship in New Zealand, Pacific Fiber Limited abandoned his plan. It's a fish investment. Maybe if only they knew a billionaire. Maybe if only they knew a billionaire. I don't know. If I knew a billionaire, I'd be asking them all. Hey. It's like if I gave you $100 right now, by that I mean 10%.
This fucking guy is missing out these little ones, man. The little ones are throwing off the vibe.
For essentially making duty-free citizenship available for sale.
Do you think he should be allowed to pay?
Oh my god.
30,000 people apply for citizenship in New Zealand every year who actually live there and appreciate living in societies, jobs. It's kind of what did he do once he
I just can't fucking see these guys, man. It's so fucking dark, dude. When it gets fucking dark in this area, it gets fucking dark.
Gods in the Lord of the Rings universe that live in Valinor, the Blessed Lands, partnered with the New Zealand Venture Investment taxpayer-funded.
That was fucking annoying, bro. I did the best I could, but like, I was putting zero damage on this guy. I don't think this is the fucking method, man.
Then other investors
I think
from
it's a
New Zealand
stupid
put in
method.
$5 million. And official government websites for the Beehive, which is the nickname for New Zealand's executive wing of parliament, touted the deal as a very positive development for New Zealand technology companies wanting to expand into large offshore
more
markets.
fucking arrows.
Unfortunately, a clause built into the contract between Thiel's Valor
I just
Ventures
don't know
and
what
the
to do.
NZVIF
Like, I don't know, we should
allowed
just
Thiel's
run up
company
and
to
just try to
purchase the
fucking
government
kill 'em,
stake.
like.
And when VVF started raking in the
this,
profits, the New
because
Zealand
that
government
other
was
shit was
essentially cut out.
And we're
of
probably
the
not going to be able
profits.
to
The New
finish
Zealand
because
Herald reported in February of 2017 that
we're running out of bird
Peter
feathers
Thiel
already,
makes
man.
fortune after a sweetheart deal with government. Their reporting called it a scheme funded by the New Zealand taxpayers. And while the New Zealand government investment barely broke even, Thiel walked away from the deal with tens of millions of dollars in profit. So it's a pretty profound betrayal, and it was such a profound betrayal that the New Zealand government would ban such clauses in future NZVIF deals. This guy's over governments, and like the governments of Mordor too, because that's where they shot that shit in New Zealand. So yeah, Valor Ventures has even ceased operations entirely in New Zealand after deregistering because it's so dumb. Peter's dream home project was also left underdeveloped after local authorities blocked his plans, which likely exacerbated his frustrations with New Zealand. Now, it seems he wants to chase citizenship in Malta, which is where my people come from. All right, guys, I just got 23andMe. My results got updated, and I'm not even a majority English. I'm a white guy that's not even in a majority English. I'm a white guy. I'm a majority Italian and Maltese. How crazy is that shit? I knew it. I look in the mirror and I said, oh my God, I look so Maltese. Like 7% Maltese. Woo! Filled with malted milk, brother. Maltese. Take a bite of this mother.
What is
Don't believe
going,
me?
man?
Check this out. How ironic is me showing you guys that I gave the corporate overlords my DNA. And I'm getting really excited about it in a video. Check this out right here, okay? Look at this. 27% English. How sick is that? Check this out. Whoa, yeah! 31% Italian and Maltese. So, yeah. And it's like mostly Northern Italian, which apparently is really bad. I don't know anything about it. I don't really, I'm an American guy. I live in Texas. I'm American. Okay. Peter's been doing the same shit with my Maltese brothers stuff. Okay, guys. He's refusing to actually be present there and live in the country where he wants citizenship, and his residence is listed on Airbnb for $185 at night.
Look at that. These
despite the
fucking
government
guys,
prohibiting
little
applicants from
country.
renting out their
They're an old
residence
country,
during
but they
the
have
application. So
they have that rule.
I have no idea what's going on.
that you
And
need to
despite
live
coming
there
to
in order
America
to do
from
shit there,
Germany,
like.
gaining citizenship in New Zealand, and seemingly pursuing another notch in his immigration belt in Malta, Peter Thiel has become a significant funder and supporter of anti-immigration politics and technology used to enforce it. And whatever you think about
cold
that,
got
it
me.
is just
Oh
another
my
tool to
gosh.
strip the civil liberties away from the citizens of the United States of America. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. All right, guys, that's what I believe. Okay, I think all this bullshit, post 9/11 bullshit, is rotten and evil and bad and wrong. Okay, I don't care if it stops like 1% of crime. He's very involved in politics as well, donating $15 million to J.D. Vance's Ohio Senate campaign, which is the largest
We need
ever
to
given
put
to a Senate
everything
candidate,
on.
which is insane.
Can't go, obviously,
Why can you
without it, so.
just? Why is that even a thing? You can just give people. You can just give a guy $15 million. What is he gonna do? Make you mad? No, of course he's not. That's how American politics works. You just give people money and they're just like, all right, yeah. Yeah, okay, I'll act on behalf of a foreign agent. That sounds good, yeah. How about instead of sending money to areas that actually deserve it in America, we send it to somewhere to kill people? Also, Mr. Peter, ever the man in touch with the needs of the everyday American people, spoke on the financial hardships currently facing the lower and middle classes in an interview with Barry Weiss. He discussed the impact of inflation on both grocery prices and rent, with a particular focus on rent and real estate.
You know, there's a way you talk about inflation in terms of the prices of eggs or groceries. That's not that big a cost item, even for lower middle class people. The really big cost item is the rent.
He says he doesn't want to blame it all on immigration, but notes that adding more people to the mix without building new homes due to zoning laws, regulations, and restrictions is what raises prices.
And again, I don't want to blame it all on immigration, but if you just, add more people to the mix and you're not allowed to build new houses because of zoning laws, or it's too expensive, or it's too regulated and restricted, then the prices go up a lot.
And shockingly, he continues this thought by talking about how this leads to an incredible wealth transfer from the lower middle class to the upper class and landlords.
And it's this incredible wealth transfer.
Yeah, okay. Right, Peter Thiel. Yeah, you talking about that like it's a bad thing and are also literally a person directly profiting from it? What the I mean, not even on, you can't even say like, oh, he gotcha himself. He said he doesn't like Xbox games and he's selling an Xbox game. No, it's like the very fundamental concept of it. He's that guy. He's literally that guy. He and his company cut out the New Zealand government in a profitable deal where they amassed millions while taxpayer-funded investor groups were left
He might
hanging
be at the
over
bottom where he last left me, but
of a country. I don't really want to hear about regulations and restrictions on development from a guy like that. We really need to just figure out how to make people sweat less. Yeah, you do. I'm struggling to find a logical consistency. Why? I mean, you can't be the surveillance guy and also the libertarian billionaire guy. You can't be both those things. You just can't. Maybe to an idiot, or maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm the idiot because I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Am I the only one? No, I'm definitely not. But I feel like I am. Oh, everybody's been blaming shit on bankers ever since I was a little kid, and I would absolutely come on. Money is an object, thing, control it. Strong goal in the system to be able to make it work better for themselves and their friends and everything. That's bad. The pursuit of wealth and power is bad, generally speaking. Bad, generally speaking.
What?
And
oh, because I didn't switch my armor.
Stark and scary.
Oh, that's not good.
Recent investments
that's not good.
in digital banks
because now the wolves and everything.
AI. Guess what he called it? Erebor. It's the name of the new banking brainchild co-founded by Palmer Luckey and Joe Lonsdale. Lonsdale is also a co-founder of Palantir, and Palmer Luckey is a founder at the defense technology development company Anduril. And this guy, Palmer Luckey, by the way, created the Oculus, and he's this like, oh, Luckey, Zany, I got a long beard and I got a statue of myself at my house, and I like to look in the mirror and jack off onto the mirror like Kali Muscle. I don't know if that's actually what he says. I just thought that. I know he absolutely loves everything named after pieces of Tolkien's universe.
Why
Ancient Palantir, Anduril is
that the
named
boss?
after
That was the
something
boss.
less ominous,
That was the
way
boss.
less ominous.
Okay.
Anduril is the name of Aragorn's sword, the reforged Narsil that Isildur
So
used
that
to
little
cut the
ring
one
is
ring
useful.
from Sauron's hand.
But you see, his effects on me
So that's
are
pretty cool.
no armor whatsoever.
Anduril has manufactured what they
With
call
no armor
roadrunner,
whatsoever, anybody can kill me like that.
Goes,
The little fucking mushroom guys can kill me like that. I might as well stay on this side sleeping
They also
because
have an autonomous air vehicle
we're gonna
they
have
call
to.
Fury,
I'm
and
doing
an
little death
AI-powered
runs
attack drone
where
called
you're
Bolt,
getting
and
your
a lot more offensive
you're
military
jumping in and
technology.
getting
And
your
the
body,
China
like trying to get your
2027
body over and over.
plan
But we
idea
don't
that
have a bed.
something's
here.
gonna happen by
Fuck off.
2027. You don't want to be left behind in the else.
We don't
I
have
think the
wood
DoD
here,
has
do we?
been using-
Not shit here.
Let's just say I have listening devices in government facilities. I don't. That's a
I
joke.
wish I would have made it better.
That might actually get me in trouble. That's funny.
Alright, hold on. It's kind of
I
quiet.
I swear,
Oh, we
I
gotta run.
have no listening
Freezing.
devices in government facilities. I just make mobile gaming and
about the
YouTube videos.
freezing.
Oh! Anduril has also erected a network consisting of hundreds of autonomous surveillance towers at the border. And these fellows are coming together to make a crypto bro bank. And it's not coincidentally named after something as well from Tolkien's universe. All right, guys.
This
What is
game,
Erebor
bro,
in
is so
Middle-earth?
stupid,
Erebor
man.
is a
Oh
mountain
my
where
God, this
Smaug,
fucking
the
game.
dragon, kills all the dwarves who live there. What are you eating right now? I personally would love to put all of my money
trying
in
to
an
get there
institution
so bad,
named
bro. This
after
is
a
like
place
with my
famous
sixth
for its
death.
money's original owners all being killed violently, and then that money being co-opted by Smaug. Who's Smaug? I assume the sweaty guy and the guy with the cool beard. Or sorry, the guy with the cool beard and the sweaty guy. Now, Peter Thiel's connection to this bank isn't only
we
through
gotta
his
run it.
association with Joe Lonsdale. Thiel's Founders Fund, among others, put up $250 million in capital to back Erebor in July 2025. And Aaron Gleason, the Founders Fund Chief Communications Officer, told Wired that Thiel was not involved in the deal. So, I have no idea. I just like to imagine that he's involved in everything evil that's Middle-earth adjacent. The attorney for Erebor, Adam Cohen, also didn't comment, but remember that guy's name, especially at the end. Remember the guy's name. The bank received conditional approval from Jonathan B. Gould, the comptroller of the currency at Trump's office of the comptroller of the currency on October 15th, just 4 months after filing. And this is notable because reportedly in an investor memo, Palmer Luckey said that because of his political network and the bank's close ties with regulators, he expected they could get approval within 6 months of its application submission. So this political network stems from Luckey's financial contributions to many Republican candidates and parties in 2024, but it's also more interconnected than that. The June 11th, 2025 application Erebor sent to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency was signed by a lawyer working at the
I wanna
law
try
firm
this, actually.
Skadden, Arps, Slate, Meager, and Flom, LLP. Fellow by the name of Adam J. Cohen. Now, how the for one, is that an actual law firm? These are just made up shit. No offense to any ARPs or Skaddens out there. And the letter sent from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency to Erebor's lawyer team at Skadden and the boys announcing their conditional approval, Adam J. Cohen's name isn't anywhere to be found. Instead, it's addressed to a different lawyer, Wendy M. Goldberg. So where did Adam Cohen go? We'll get to it. On July 30th, 2025, roughly a month and a half after working on Erebor's application and 2.5 months before its approval, old Adam made a career move. Where did he go? You guessed it! Under the mountain with all the gold in it! He was named Chief Counsel to the Office of the Comptroller of Currency and would assume his role on August 11, 2025. Comptroller Jonathan V. Gould had this to say about Adams' addition to their team. Adams' unparalleled background in banking, law, and regulation, together with his depth of hands-on experience working on financial services, matters as a regulator, in-house general counsel, and external advisor, bring tremendous value to the OCC. Adding a seasoned professional of Adams' caliber to the OCC's executive committee strengthens the agency's efforts to ensure a safe and sound federal banking system, improve bank supervision and regulation, and embrace evil innovation and promote fair access to financial services. Adam Cohen posted to LinkedIn expressing an honorable feeling to be appointed the next chief counsel and being thankful to Jonathan Gould for the opportunity to support a safe and sound banking system that embraces innovation.
Why
And this
are we
has nothing
freezing?
at all to do with his connection to a
Bro,
bank
why
he's
the
connected
fuck
to
are
that's
we
waiting
freezing?
for
What
approval at
armor
the
am I
time
wearing?
that this was written. Of course. Obviously. The approval happened so quickly that Elizabeth
Oh my
Warren,
God.
a senator,
Ugh.
I think, put out a statement essentially calling it crony capitalism because these are President Trump's billionaire buddies, and his financial regulators just fast-tracked an approval of this very risky venture for the president's cronies. By the way, the president literally is a crypto scammer as well, if you guys didn't know. If you didn't know that, there's just like, it's pretty crazy, the world we're living in right now. And it's insane to say that that's bad and that that's like in any way political. How is that good in anyone's mind? Yeah, I like it when they rug pull. I kind of like it. I kind of like it when they rug pull.
We're missing
man,
our other
They're
cave.
f***ing politicians. They don't care about you at all or know about you, even a small amount. I I know more about you than they do, literally. Unless they look at Palantir, then they know everything there is to know about you. I know what you do in the mirror every single morning. The whole spread that. It's really weird, but people are gonna do what they're gonna do, I guess. So Teal, Lonsdale, and Mr. Lucky need a safe place to stash all of their Trump and Melania meme coins. I assume they're going to put it in an airport. It seems like they may or may not have planted a man on the inside to get this done. So another reason why people might hate Peter Thiel. It seems like the billionaire stuff is really, I don't think just because someone's a billionaire that they're bad. I don't think that people getting money inherently makes them bad. There's a lot of, well, there may be some good billionaires. Is there? Is there a good billionaire? It seems like everybody hates them all. I don't really know. Who's a good billionaire? Yeah, I don't think that becoming a billionaire automatically makes you an evil person. But I'd like to find out. Download Legend of Zog. I'd be a good billionaire. You guys can trust me with all your money. So to circle back a little bit to the fundraising memo that Palmer Luckey sent to prospective investors that was maybe late July or early August, judging by Business Insider's reporting being posted on the 8th. It's days before Adam Cohen assumed his role that Palmer Luckey is saying his unique connectivity to regulators will lead to its expedited approval, which again was approved in 4 months compared to the typical 9.5 months, saving them nearly 6 months of time to be able to steal money from the dwarves. Who's the dwarf?
Oh my God, this is so
not Peter Dinklage.
I don't even want
to.
I want
to play to be dwarves.
I want to just go hit him, man. Like,
so yeah,
him
classic
fucking running around
evil
is like
billionaire
a
stuff.
bitch,
I've got to be
dude.
honest. We've seen this playbook a lot. Nobody thinks that Bill Gates is a good guy. Nobody thinks that that other guy. That guy's a good guy, or whatever. In the space and the bitches.
This
going
is
up in
pretty.
space.
This is
Nobody
the best way
thinks
to
they're good
kind of-
people. Nobody does. I mean, look at your family, your mom. I was gonna say you're an idiot, but you're not an idiot. Maybe you're just a contrarian. You know? Maybe you're just I mean, hold on a minute. Yeah, that's right. Come on now. So yeah, classic billionaire type stuff, to be honest. To me, it makes sense. This is what I would do if I wouldn't do any of this stuff. This is what I would do if I would facetiously. For me, the biggest issue of all this is the continuous use of Tolkien-related naming choices. All that stuff. That's what stands out to me. In the case of
Yo,
Arrow,
it
the
reset
concept
the
of
health on
in
it.
relation to a bank of all things just shows how not tone deaf, I guess. Is it deliberate provocation? Is it supposed to be ironic? Because it seems like a bad idea. It really
I think I know
does
what's going
seem
on.
like a bad idea.
If
Like,
I go
you
through
name
the
your shit
portal, I
Palantir,
think it will
it's like
reset.
eventually disrupted. You're in an airport, and it's eventually going to get taken over by
Damn it,
smog.
bro.
And you're gonna
This
kill
is gonna
everyone.
take forever. Like,
What do you
if
say?
that's the case,
What is
it's
the point? A lot of people read in between the lines too much, and they're talking about numerology and like, well, this means this is satanic. Bro is literally naming his company Satan, and then his other bank, Satan's Bank, and it's like, what? Let's just hope it's Erebor Force Found. Let's just hope this Palantir Force towards
come on, man. The fucking stamina, dude. Every fucking time I want to pull the arrows, like
Palantir,
this.
Galar Adventures, Mithril Capital. Mithril is named after Elvish armor. Rivendell 1 and Lindis Capital. They held Teal shares in Facebook and are named after the Elvish city and Elvish bread. It's all very strange and easy to become quite
I gotta go try to
Looking
hit
for
it, man. This is not gonna
Consider J.D. Vance from Teal's former employee at $15 million in campaign funds from Teal, and subsequently created a venture capital fund called Narya Capital, which is Teal's fund. Narya is the name of one of 3 Elvish rings of power that Sauron can control and possess the One Ring, because all rings are sold to Sauron's One Ring long. So, the vice president is the secret agent for Teal waiting to be activated, maybe, allegedly. This is where things get really interesting, because I'm asking the questions,
hit him.
He means this and this and this. We know what he means. He's talked about it. He's read the trilogy over 10 times. Despite Peter Thiel's obsession with his interpretation
what is that?
of
Oh, that's why we gotta go to the ring.
I mean, I don't know what Tolkien meant, to be honest, but it's generally believed that not
so
what
hard to get the body
motherfucker
once it's
interpreted
there.
from it. Generally, it's understood that Tolkien was shaped by World War I and World War II. was born in 1892, making him 22 years old when World War I took off. He even served in the British Army fighting at the Battle of Somme. He was 47 years old at the beginning of World War II, but didn't serve in that war. But he was able to see how both of those wars reshaped the world at home and on the front lines. He was a critic of technology and warfare with famous quotes outlining his grim vision of what the future would hold. He said, well, the first war of the machines seems to be drawing to its final inconclusive chapter, leaving, alas, everyone killed, many bereaved or maimed, and millions dead, and only one thing triumphant: the machines. As the servants of the machines are becoming a privileged class, the machines are going to be enormously more powerful. He's quite literally, in Tolkien speak, describing the military-industrial complex that we have now 80 years of evidence of its existence. In The Lord of the Rings, in Tolkien's universe, it's Sauron and Saruman, after his fall, who fuel the engines of war. Saruman cuts down his forests and his tower becomes the center of Uruk-hai's military productions. At the siege of Minas Tirith, Sauron's forces use siege towers and a massive battering ram named Grond to breach the fortress walls of the city. Based on Peter Thiel's company Palantir's tech developments and military contracts, as well as his association with Palmer Luckey of the defense contractor Anduril, it seems that in spite of being a fan of Tolkien's work, he's not really a fan of Tolkien's message, which is like the opposite. Based on evidence, Tolkien was into the war, and he really liked Sauron. That was like his whole thing with the military-industrial complex. In Aragorn, when he cut that big mouth guy's head off, he did not like that at all. He didn't write that in there. That was just, whatever. Hello? Obviously, I'm not the first person ever in the world of all time to make note of this contrast. For
What?
example,
Oh, the fucking, oh my god, the fucking cool. Yeah, I'm gonna probably.
Back in June, called Thiel out for his seeming alignment with the villains rather than the heroes of the story. He said, Thiel's worldview is at odds with the Christian values Tolkien espoused and elucidated in the books that the Silicon Valley Titan claims to love so much. In fact, Thiel's philosophy has far more in common with that of Sauron or Saruman, the Luciferian villains of The Lord of the Rings, than with that of any of Tolkien's heroes, especially not the elves. So yeah, I mean, it seems pretty obvious. It just seems like it's too obvious, though. But this involvement of Christian religious elements will be important later, too. Specifically, the association